Hello and welcome to Ask Bellco. This month we're discussing estate planning and how important it is to have a trust or a will. Joining us to discuss that is Richard Hughes. He's founding attorney of the Hughes law firm in Denver. Richard, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. So tell us a little bit about Hughes law firm. How are you connected to Bellco?
Well, years ago when it was tough to find a lawyer easily, this was prior to the Supreme Court allowing lawyers to actually advertise, credit unions were offered through our firm a program that allowed their members to call us for free advice on virtually any legal topic that they were struggling with.
Free advice?
Yep.
Wow.
No charge when they pick up the phone and call. Secondly, we would, because Bellco and other credit unions would help us market, we would reduce our fees by a factor of 25% for Bellco members and their family members. And third, we would offer, you'll get a letter from my lawyer type of service if they were having a dispute with a neighbor or a homeowner association or some such thing as that. And we would help them write demand letters to get action on a legal problem that was keeping them up at night for free.
Wow, that seems like a great deal for Bellco members to just kind of have you guys in their corner once you're a member of the credit union, just to do that kind of stuff.
Well, it is a great benefit, and when Bellco would send a flyer out promoting this, the phone lines would light up for a week or two or three.
Mutually beneficial, it kind of sounds like.
Amazing, yeah.
So when you see commercials for lawyers on TV, which I didn't know, by the way, that the Supreme Court allowed lawyers to advertise, so that's like a new tidbit that I learned that has nothing to do with Ask Bellco. That's kind of cool. But when I see lawyers on TV, they're usually doing the whole, like, if you've been injured in an accident, I can help you, that kind of thing. I assume that's not what you guys do. What mostly is your firm doing as far as law stuff?
Well, in the old days, we did lots of different things. We were more or less all things to all people. But over time, we've gravitated toward what we call estate planning, estate settlements, elder law, and the types of things that people deal with when they're planning for their children and their grandchildren, inheritances and so forth. So right now we do probably 85 to 90% of our total practice is in that area, but we have other attorneys that are affiliated with us that can take on other jobs if those jobs fall outside our area of expertise.
But it's primarily estate planning, which is good because that's what we're here to talk about.
Correct.
So I'm going to throw an estate planning word at you that I've heard before, that I'm a little confused on what it means. Probate. What is that? You hear the word all the time, but I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, probate's got a bad rap. And the reason it does is courts get involved in poorly planned or unplanned estates when people die.
Okay.
Over half of the folks that die in this state have nothing to tell family what they want.
So no will or nothing like, yeah.
Yeah, so the courts have to get in the middle of it and basically sort out all the details. Well, as soon as you get the courts in the middle of these types of things, it gets really pricey.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that probate is a bad thing. What it really boils down to is because of human nature, people don't plan to avoid it. So they don't get their wills or trusts set up correctly. They don't get the coaching they need to make things go fast, cheap, and easy later. They neglect it. And probate is there to pick up the pieces and try to put it all back together for the family. And yeah, probate can take 1 to 3 years to get
Yikes.
A lot of these messy estates cleaned up.
Yeah.
The cost can be anywhere from $2,500 to $25,000 plus.
Wow.
And sometimes, if you can believe it, millions of dollars. And watching some of these celebrity situations, like the Princesses and the Michael Jacksons, when they pass away, they leave huge estates and no planning.
That's unbelievable to me. So it sounds like you're providing a pretty valuable service by helping people plan these kinds of things. So we've heard about wills, we've heard about trusts. What's the difference between like a will and a trust, and which one should people kind of go for?
Well, that's always a threshold question, and during seminars, which we give every month.
Oh.
Usually anywhere from 2 to 10 per month all over the city.
Wow.
We talk about that. And what we try to educate people about is wills don't avoid probate, even really well-written wills. Trusts do. So there are two sets of books on the shelf, if you will, in a lawyer's office. Will planning and trust planning. We like the trust planning books, so we help our clients plan to avoid courts, to avoid the costs connected with courts, the delays connected with courts. Yeah. And the law allows us to plan avoiding courts. And if probate court judges were truthful, they would want everybody to plan with trusts because they wouldn't have so much to do.
Sure. Makes sense. The thing is, though, now that you've explained it to me that way, I'm with you, a trust all the way. So I'll just flip that over then. Why would someone pick a will? What are the advantages to that? Some people must do it for some reason, right?
Well, some folks are interested in keeping things very simple. And you know the old phrase, all I want's a simple will? Mm-hmm. Well, some folks, that's all they want. And they may know that there are options or better ways to go, but they elect not to take that path.
Because it's just easier to do the will and then just, now I'm
Sure,
done.
sure.
Okay.
Oh, I attempt to persuade them into something a little bit more caring for the family or a little bit more trust-oriented, but hey, everybody chooses what they want, and that's the way it goes. So, and plus, there are other ways to avoid probate.
Oh, like what?
Well, like at Bellco, for example, you can create a joint account with somebody. So if you die, the property that's in the joint account, the money, will automatically, free of probate, go to them.
Oh.
Or you can put what's called a POD on an account. So let's say you have an account with $10,000 in it, and you put me on as a POD beneficiary. POD stands for payable on death.
I see.
You die, I take a death certificate down showing you're gone, and Bellco pays the money to me just like that, no probate.
Well, you're welcome to it because I won't be able to spend it anymore.
Thank you. Can we set that up after?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, remind us when we're done with that. No, I'm kidding. We're talking about end-of-life stuff, which is pretty heavy. But, you know, there are other life events that occur. What about when somebody who has a will or a trust maybe sustains an injury, maybe, I don't know, a car accident or God forbid or something like that, where you're incapacitated or you're incapable of making those decisions, but you're not dead. What happens then?
That's a great question, and it's an issue that folks overlook.
Yeah.
We always know we're going to die, but we hate to think about the prospect of becoming mentally incapacitated.
Scares the heck out of me.
When we die, we've got a guy called an executor that settles up our estate. They're actually called personal representative now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just sounds nicer?
Well, they neutered it.
Oh.
A male was an executor. A female was an executrix.
Oh. I like the term, what was it, personal representative?
Now we're all personal representatives.
I like that better.
That's the guy that settles up an estate of a person who has passed away.
Okay, sure. But getting back to our
in the event of disability, we can create trusts and durable powers of attorney where we pick other people that aren't controlled by the courts to take care of all of our health care needs and our financial dealings. No courts, no lawyers, no outside influences, it's all private. So under a power of attorney, the person we pick to manage our affairs whether they're healthcare or financial, is called an agent.
Okay.
And a trustee is the person that we pick to manage assets that we may have in our trust when we become disabled upstairs.
Sure, I understand.
These are all private, court-free, and convenient to the whole family because we don't have to go through a judge.
Which is, it seems like that's really what you want to avoid, because
Totally.
that's when the costs go up and that's when the time starts to stretch out and everything like that. So it sounds like even though these are things that we don't really like to think about, it kind of pays to have a plan in place.
Well, that's what we're all about.
Right.
And we do our best to persuade folks to get responsible, take care of their families, do adult things that we all, human nature-wise, don't want to do.
Sure.
We want to put them off, but we know we should get business taken care of. Yeah, it's a challenge, and but most of our clients aren't too worried about it until they're 65, 75, and then they're watching friends
Go
pass
through the
away.
same thing, yeah.
They're watching family members get dementia, Alzheimer's, have a stroke.
Yeah.
They're watching probates rob the families of all of the inheritance. Mm-hmm. And then they come in and go, wow, I can't let that happen in my family. It's finally hit home. I need to talk to you about doing a will or a trust.
Sure.
So it's that type of motivation, seeing what really happens in life,
Yeah.
that makes people think and get busy.
Well, you talked about the probates getting involved and I think you said robbing people of their assets and stuff. Talking about that, I'm going to throw another scary kind of term at you, and I'm hoping you can break it down for us a little bit. Death tax. We hear that term a lot. It's usually said kind of a scary way, oftentimes like around election season and stuff like that. Can you break that down for the folks at home? What is death tax? Why should I be worried about it? All that kind of stuff.
Well, over the years, it's become a big, scary problem, and then at certain times it hasn't been, because Congress, which controls the death tax laws, will change their mind from time to time and say, oh, we need to collect more money on death tax.
Yeah.
And other administrations and Congresses will say, we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a great deal for Americans because no one in this country is going to be taxed when they die unless their estate's over $11 million.
Well, I'm nowhere near that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're in great shape. Now, that changes at the end of 2026, so it may go back to something less desirable for consumers, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
So if you're going to die, do it now.
Well, might as well.
I'm joking.
Hurry up.
I'm joking. Yeah. Let's get on with it. We got to get this good deal. No, but as I understand it, so you said that it's taxed on the person's estate. Now, is that the same as an inheritance tax? Then those are the same thing?
Actually, they're totally different. An inheritance tax is imposed upon folks that inherit money. And the tax varies depending upon how closely you were related to the person that died.
So it's possible you could get taxed twice on that same amount.
There's an inheritance tax and a death tax.
Right.
But in Colorado, we have no inheritance tax on any amount. So we're all off the hook on that one.
Okay.
We have no Colorado death tax, but we still have the federal death tax. But once again, that only affects folks that have estates of $11 million or more.
So if you're gonna die, do it now and do it in Colorado. I'm kidding, of course. I'm trying to lighten the mood because we're talking about all this heavy stuff.
I tell you.
So I want to just touch on one more thing today, which is that when we talk about estate planning, we're talking a lot about family members and things like that. But nowadays, there are so many mixed families. People are on their second marriage. They are oftentimes bringing in kids from previous marriages, all those things stitching together. How does that affect your estate planning, and what should you do to plan for that?
Third marriages, fourth marriages.
Right.
His kids, her kids, our kids. So let's say Amy comes in with her husband, Jeff. Mm-hmm. They meet with me. She's got 3 kids from 2 previous marriages, 2 different fathers. Jeff has 2 children, came from a previous marriage, and they have 1 new child together.
It's a lot to unravel in that ball there, yeah. Yeah, a real head scratcher.
Well, about 50% of the folks we see now are in second or subsequent marriages. Mm-hmm. So trying to sort out how to be fair to all of these kids, be fair to a surviving spouse, and just to make sense of it all when there's hers, his, and theirs together is a real challenge. And it oftentimes requires the use of 2 or more trusts to segregate assets so that when one spouse dies, funds can be set aside for the care and feeding, so to speak, of the children of that first spouse to die, and still take care of the surviving spouse as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a tricky balance, and when you start thinking it out, as most folks haven't, then they start realizing how complicated estate planning can be in a new family or blended family situation. Mm-hmm. And it's very important that get taken care of.
Yeah, early. I mean, it seems to me like even if it is that complicated, you really want that in that case because, when we were talking about probate getting involved, even in a simple will or something like that, now you think about all of these other families and parties getting involved, and then you put probate in the mix. That just sounds like you want to slam your head against the wall by the end of that. Just, yeah.
I often do.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today, but I know that folks at home who are watching this are going to have questions that we don't have time for. So where are some resources that people can go to ask more questions or find out more about this stuff?
Well, certainly if folks have a prior relationship with an attorney they've worked with, they need to go back and get some things updated perhaps, or ask some questions based perhaps on some of the things they've learned today. We work with the Bellco members through our group legal services plan, and they have a special number they can call for free advice.
What is it?
303-4-ADVICE.
Oh, like the number 4?
Yeah.
303-4-ADVICE. It's easy to remember.
423-6123.
Okay. I like 4-ADVICE better.
I do too.
Yeah.
Easier to remember. Yeah. And we've had that number for years, and it rings all the time.
What about a website? Is there a website folks can go to?
Yes, they can go to thehugheslawfirm.net.
Okay.
And there they will find copious resources on all types of issues that we've been talking about. And we have a special section that highlights seminars that we give on this topic.
Really?
We call our seminars Wills and Trust 101. And these seminars are wonderful. We make them fun, we make them educational, we don't make them too long, but we give people a lot of things to think about, and then invite folks to come in if they want to talk about their planning. And they can go to our website and see the dates and locations. We do them all over town all of the time.
That sounds fantastic. Well, you heard it here, folks. Get on the website, check out one of those seminars. Richard, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Come back and see us sometime, will you?
I'll do it. I'd love to.
And thank you for tuning in. If you have questions or topics you want to see discussed on our show, just send them to us on social media using that hashtag #AskBellco. Join us next month as we cover the benefits of adjustable rate and combo mortgage loans. We'll see you then.